Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this will be a special review of Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain. And before we kick things off, I must note two things. Number one, I have played most of the Metal Gear Solid games. Not Metal Gear, but Metal Gear Solid games. So let's start out there now. And I did not play Ground Zero. And I'm 100% okay with that. Okay. And lastly, I will explain the story to the best of my knowledge. It's going to be one of those days I have to explain something that I don't blame you guys not to understand. Trust me, I had a hard time understanding what the fuck was going on. But anyways, let's start with the game, which was, oh man, just a blast. This was an amazing game. To me, I had so much fun doing stealth missions, takedowns, meeting new characters in the game, and pretty much taking out the bad guys. And plus, this game talks about, the game itself is like, what is that word I like to use? It touched on social issues, but not in a piss poor way. And not like, oh, we're just doing this out here because, oh, it's shocking. It wasn't for shock and awe. It was actually genuine issues they brought up in the game, like child soldiers, evil science, the wars within the world itself, the big conglomerates about wars, and everything else behind what made Metal Gear Solid so interesting to watch and see as a gamer and or viewer, because they touch on really key social issues, and this is where Kojima's writing in a sensible way made perfect sense, and to pretty much touch on all these serious issues and not really much make a piss poor attempt at making like, oh, we're doing this because we have to. No, Kojima did this because it makes sense, and also it's something that most video games don't talk about most often. Like I said about The Witcher, about racism, genocide, and everything else, which it did perfectly well. Metal Gear Solid, Phantom Pain, did something that was really special. It talked about some of the real world issues that you don't see talked about in media or in other outlets out there. So this was really much a welcome change within a video game, but also Kojima's pretty much showcasing he is a skilled writer. He is a skilled individual who's willing to push that envelope even further and further as time goes on for his series of Metal Gear Solid, or Metal Gear, but you get the point. But again, voice acting in this game was very good. I mean, really top notch. It felt like I was watching a movie at times, or I was watching one of those really indie movies from like overseas, like a UK movie, just done so perfectly well that you sometimes forget that you're playing a game and not watching a full-length action movie, which is a good thing though. It's a really good action game, but but also it adds more subtle moments, like really keen and subtle moments, like when like be a spoiler alert or whatever, but rains the raining scene, or it's raining whatever scene, where Quiet pretty much enjoys the rain and water itself, and you see her and Venom Snake pretty much have a great and beautiful moment together. And that was really interesting too. It made their relationship, well, a military type relationship, human and also not overbearing at times. It made perfect sense because Quiet was pretty much, she never spoke at all until the end of the game. But her and Venom Snake had that one connection, that one bond that you as a viewer, as a gamer, understand completely well. And how they meet each other first time around was actually kind of like, oh shit, that's actually her. Like, because the opening is really cool. Some people might say it's slow. I think it's okay because it starts with a really cool opening that you wake up from a coma from 9 years, and you see pretty much large metal in your freaking skull, like, okay. And as the game progresses, story-wise, you kind of see it how it all ends out in a sensible way. Because I'll say that for later for my complaints about this game. But let me just focus on the good parts. Like I said, the opening scene was really good. Got my heart really pounding because the bad guys themselves made the game even more fun to play with. Because there's some really cold-blooded mofos. They're not really goofy or wacky like in Metal Gear Solid, the first one, and or Snake Eater, and or Metal Gear Solid 4. But that's another different story too, and that's okay because each Metal Gear game is different from the last. Like Metal Gear Solid is so much different than Snake Eater. Snake Eater is 100% different from Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriot. And Guns of the Patriot is still different than Metal Gear Rising. And all those games are 100% different towards Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. Every game in every installment is different from the last, which is really awesome. Pretty much we don't see that much often in games. We don't see it in Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed. And I can go on with this list as much as I want to. But anyways, setting up your base in the game itself is pretty much your main arc. It's your main structure. How the whole game presents itself. And the base is really cool to upgrade and really maximize to a full potential. It feels like you're really much walking on your own country, your own land, because the oil rig, your mother base. I mean, I know it was gonna be big, but the scope of it, the whole landscape of it, when the chopper brings you to a landing pad of the different type of bases you go to on your mother base, it was like, what? And then you hear my videos that said it was done. But anyways, the mother bases, when you upgrade it fully, is huge. Really, it's freakishly huge. It's like, why it looks so much bigger than it was before? And you can plant more bases too around the globe, which is really cool. And it reminds me a lot of XCOM, really. And I was like, oh, it's like XCOM. But also, the things you do in your mother base also has a big effect on your gameplay. Like working on new equipments, gear, weapons, suits, you name it. And plus, it helps out your buddy as well, which is a new addition to the Metal Gear Solid series. Like having a dog, like Dee, or Diamond Dog, really. And the D-Horse. Yes, that's true. They said D-Horse. And D-Walker. You can get the whole sense of a joke that's coming out here, don't you? Anyways, the buddies in the game is really cool. One of my favorites is Quiet, because let's be honest, Quiet is a badass sniper and a scout as well. But if you use Dee, he can sniff out enemies, medical plants, items, you name it. And also prisoners as well, which you have to extract from the battle zone, from the war zone, that is. And it's really cool too. That's called good detail. The D-Walker is the worst buddy because it doesn't do jack shit at times. I mean, most of the ammo you get for it does run out. And when you run out of ammo, you're kind of screwed. And you're trying to keep it stealthy, right? This damn thing is so huge, people are like, wait, what is that? Is that a flying box? What? And you see D-Walker, it's like, what's that word I like to use? It's a pointless vehicle / buddy because it's a stealth game and an action game, but mostly on stealth, because the stealth parts, you can see why Metal Gear Solid is the perfect stealth game. The stealth elements in the game are pretty much superb. They're best. They're amazing because every detail always happens. The AI is very, very, very smart. And they will check out a sound. They will see a footprint. If their buddies don't come through, they will radio for more backup. So what made them more fun to play with around, because they always change up their tactics. They always had tanks. They will always have they will have heavy armored dudes on their sides. They will always have something for their advantage to their disadvantage. And that was always cool. I was always like playing cat and mouse. So it was not like getting to point A to point B. It's pretty much how I'm gonna go through this character, how I'm gonna pretty much fight these type of guys without being noticed, or if I am noticed, what's my exit strategy? What's my plan B? Because you always have to think ahead between the enemy, because the enemy, again, is not stupid. They are really, really smart. And when they get their stupid helicopters in the air, frustration about, because that is really frustration right there, because in a good way, though. Because when you have the helicopter pretty much buzzing around, and if it's nighttime, too, it's a pain in the ass to get through it, because there be some parts where the soldiers can't see you, but if that damn helicopter sees you, you're screwed at times, and it just shred you apart. However, there's always counteracting of it. You can take down a helicopter like right now, which is a good idea, or pretty much do the most crazy stealth plan you ever play in a game. And extracting enemies and extracting vehicles, it has a lot of great enjoyment. We get the wormhole. It's pretty much the most useful extraction item in the game, because the wormhole can actually take enemies or items from closed environments like a house or a warehouse or whatever the case may be, and extract them to mother base, which is so much of a godsend because you will come to times where you can't get this enemy out of to extraction point because he's in a freaking building, and you got enemies all over the corners. Like, damn it! And this happens to me a lot of times when I went to the airport. And the airport is a really tricky maze-like scene because there's so many doors, there's so many elements you can go through, and so many pathways you can take. But at the same time, there's more danger afoot because the soldiers will have like walker units. They will have heavy armored dudes, helicopters in the sky, and you pretty much got to like, oh fuck, how am I gonna do this now? Because it's pretty much is a tricky element here. And you have the best items in the game, you still have to think on your toes. You still have to pretty much think ahead of them. Because it doesn't matter if you have the best weapons if you can't really outsmart them, really. And if you kill a soldier, oh god, that gives you more headaches than it is to pretty much knock them out or tranquilize them and put them in a restroom or a dumpster. Either way, killing them will cause more issues for you, which is a really cool gameplay element that I love about Metal Gear Solid. In Metal Gear Solid series, there's always a choice. You can always kill them, or pretty much stun them or tranquilize them, and just pretty much go on your business. Which, in here, is pretty much amplified even more. Which is a more welcome change for people who played the game in the past, and also new people who want to play in the Metal Gear Solid universe. And again, it was really good. I love the detail. I love every aspect of it. The soldiers will always remember, like, wait a minute, someone actually went through here. Okay, let's get a walker out here. Let's do this and do that. However, there's a lot of weak spots to the enemies you fight. Remember, 4 senses you have to fight against: sight, hearing. Sight, hearing. Okay, sight, hearing. I can't remember the rest. Sorry, but what Onslaught tells you that, like sight and hearing, so that makes you pretty much aware that the AI, if they hear you, you're screwed. If they see you, you're pretty much dead. So doing crazy stuff to the enemy, like use a box as my cover, and pretty much knocking the fuck out, like wow! It's those takedowns are just so epic. It's like, and destroying certain types of buildings and items in the game is also satisfying as well. Like, that's kind of cool. And so I haven't really scratched the surface on this game yet because I have to go into the detail in the game. And holy shit, there's a lot of detail. It's so fine detail that you pretty much be at lost at time. Like, what's going on? Is that really happening? Is that really happening? You get random moments where a wild dog, will attack a soldier, and you just be watching it like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? Like, that motherfucker got eaten by a dog. And I saw that happen too in the game before. It's like, okay. And getting also rare animals too from the jungles and also from the plains of Afghanistan is really fun too, because it's like a Find Waldo type moment, and it's a pain in the ass too. But overall, it's pretty much an awesome treasure hunt mission, because you're not just pretty much like going to point A to point B again. You're actually trying to look for this animal and to attract it to some other base, so you get more points to upgrade your facility and or base. And getting the blueprints for new items and new equipment is also fun too. And I had to get into the whole weapons itself. Customizing your weapons, it's a lot of nitpicks, and there's a lot of changing the mag, changing the stock, changing the sight, changing the barrel, changing the grip, changing everything else about the damn gun. It's just one of the part guns. You can change it from all types of them to a silencer or a loud gun. You can change a lot of weapons too. You can change rocket launchers at times, grenade launchers, shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, miniguns, and so on and so forth. It's like you get overwhelmed at times. Like, what the hell do I do? And when you customize your own weapon, it is a fine detail. Like, there's a yellow tag saying like you made this gun or you made this type of gun, and you can use it in the field. And you can test it out if it works or doesn't work. You can always go back to the drawing board and make a new type of weapon out of the gun you're already using beforehand. And so that was really good fine detail that you don't get in games at all at times. And man, it's a lot to take in. And when the weather comes through, and that's some awesome detail too. When the rain comes through, it covers up your sound, but the sight is still important key to the enemy. So if they see you, you're screwed. However, if they can't hear you, you're pretty much invisible. And then you got sandstorms. Sandstorms. I hate sandstorms so much because the sandstorm, it affects you, it also affects the enemy. Everyone's on the same playing field though, because the sandstorm is fucking loud because you can't hear the enemies and they can't hear you. And they can't see you until you get up and close and personal. So it goes both ways. It's a double-edged sword. So what the hell are you going to do is pretty much fight these enemies in a sandstorm? Trust me, a sandstorm will come by and just fuck up your whole gameplay strategy. Like, oh, sandstorm, really? Fuck. And exploring all types of Afghanistan and central parts of Africa is really beautiful. It's amazing. Like, you get those big sceneries or those big plains. You just have to look at it for 5 minutes. Like, and so I haven't saw no elephants for some odd reason, or any tigers or lions or bears. Well, I saw bears, and bears are a pain in the ass to take down, pretty much. And there's still some more things like I have to talk about even more. It's the child soldiers, and the child soldiers play a big key role because the child soldiers are somehow, not somehow, but it's really hard to talk about unless you played it or understand the concept of child soldiers. These are children who have pretty much been abused or kidnapped from their own family, and so on and so forth. They become hardened soldiers. And when you face off against these child soldiers, you kind of get the sad reaction that this shit does happen in real life to this very day of child soldiers. And the game tells you specifically, do not kill them, because you're asking yourself why. You're in the game. I can kill them if I want to, but you can't, because these kids are brainwashed. They're only kids. They don't know nothing about war itself. And this is what Miller talked about when Big Boss's friends. Like, he tells them like in detail that the child soldiers don't really know any much better. They're pretty much just trained to be soldiers and warriors and so on and so forth. Like the people you see in Game of Thrones, like Grey Worm and everything else like that. They're bred to be soldiers, right? So the best way you can do is pretty much distract the children from the battlefield and make sure they have a different life, a different setting in their own path. Instead of just pretty much behind a gun, they need to be smart. They need to be doing something else, you know? And so that was a really key issue within the game. And it really touched on it very specifically well. And then meeting new characters, again, was one of the highlights of this game. Again, Quiet, Dee Dee, Miller, Ocelot, and the bad guys as well. The Man on Fire, and oh my god, I forgot this one kid's name, but he plays a really big character in Metal Gear Solid. Pretty much all these characters are from Metal Gear Solid. You guys see pretty much with the backstory of them all, pretty much the backstory of how they all became who they are. However, in the bigger game, this wasn't really about Snake's story in a way. It still is about Snake's story, but it's about Psycho Mantis' upbringings and pretty much how he became so powerful in the end result. Yes, Psycho Mantis is in this game. I didn't know until like pretty much close to the end of the game. I did some wiki searches as well. Like, what? That's Psycho Mantis? Because I was a big fan of Psycho Mantis, and I was fighting against him. And Psycho Mantis also played a big role in Metal Gear Solid 4. It's like, god damn. And also Snake Eater as well, because his father was in it as well, and so was his mother. I didn't know that either until I did some research. And so Psycho Mantis, again, plays another big role. He's pretty much one of the big bad guys. However, the game also points out that Major, or pretty much Zero, is the main bad guy in the whole series, because he created Cypher, he created Foxhound, he created every single aspect of it, and the Patriots, which the Patriots were pretty much trying to control the world itself. And so Big Boss and Ocelot and Eva and the whole list going on, pretty much, it was a big war against Zero himself. And people didn't know about this. This is pretty much an underground type guerrilla warfare within the system, the proxy wars, really. And so it was really cool detail, pretty much how Zero had that big effect on a lot of people. But at the same time, he pretty much fell to his own demise by trusting his dangerous, most deadliest officers known to mankind, which was Skullface. And Skullface was a really cool character up until the end, until he explained his master plan. It's like, what? Trust me, I said a lot of what moments, like, what? That makes no sense. It has to do with a parasite. I can't really explain the parasite because I'll be honest with you folks. I can't really explain it because it was confusing to me. I beat the game, but okay, it's like this. I'll explain more smart details. The parasite attacks certain types of language in the vocal cords. I don't know how it does that because, like, how to attack people who speak English? I don't know. They wasn't really specifically well spoken in like how in full detail. Well, they have, but it's very, very confusing. Like, what? And sorry, I lost train of thought that whole part. But Skullface, he let a lot of seed elements. I mean, a lot of like seed and root elements for a lot of things to come in the future of Metal Gear Solid series. And so Skullface was a really cool character from the background, not as a main character, as an evil person, because he's not that really that interesting. He's like the least interesting person. But he explains why he hates Zero, because Zero took him from his own homeland. Okay. And from that day on out, he hated him so much, next to pretty much Big Boss himself. And so this and that, you can see where it goes on to. And go back to Psychomantis. Psychomantis was pretty much, we learn more about how he got his powers, and also where he's been at for before Shadow Moses. And so this was a really cool element. This was really cool. Everything else. I want to know more about Psychomantis as a child, and also Quiet as well. Quiet and Psychomantis are pretty much the most interesting characters. They're not pretty much not playable, which is weird and also odd. Anyways, back into the other main characters as well. Venom Snake, who I like also, he's more interesting than say Big Boss. Again, there's nothing against Big Boss. I love Big Boss, but Venom Snake was more interesting because he was forging his own future. I say him. I say two different people because come to find out, because Venom Snake is actually a doppelganger of the Big Boss. Actually, Big Boss actually let him use his name so his legacy can go on and on and on. And that's what the game is pretty much all about. Big Boss's legacy. It was about Venom Snake. It was about Big Boss, really. It's about the boss, the Big Boss's mentor, who pretty much trained him when he was very young. And so her legacy, pretty much freeing the world of the Patriots and Zero himself, was pretty much a long haul type game. And so Venom Snake knew that because Big Boss told him that. And people like bitched him on like, oh, I don't like that ending because it is disconnected from the character. Like, have you actually played any Metal Gear Solid games? What's it mostly about? Clones, doppelgangers, and full out confusion of everything else that you know about video games. Because that's what all the things are about. Because Solid Snake is a clone. Liquid is a clone. Solid Snake is a clone. However, what made them pretty much unique and different was their own personalities. And Solid Snake is pretty much the one who actually survived by all of his clones. Because, no, in fact, Liquid, he was arrogant. He was pretty much naive and stupid, really. He was smart. He was still smart, but he was naive and in warfare at times. Solid Snake was more, he had more of the genes of a Big Boss than Eli and Solidus. And so it was really interesting aspects on how Big Boss trained all his followers, people who pretty much thought like him, or pretty much will become him in the coming future, to bring out the major threat, which is the Patriots and Zero and Cypher, which is pretty much the same person, which is Zero. And so the whole crescendo of the whole story itself is that it's not about what's going on in the game. It's pretty much what's going on in the bigger end game wall, which is pretty much stopping Zero at the end result. Because Zero, he's part of the CIA, he's part of the whole shebang-a-bang. And he's so embedded within the government itself that who's going to believe you? He's on that Zero is pretty much a mastermind behind all these awful elements, and pretty much he funded these wars. No one, really. So what you have to do? You have to play the bad guy. You have to play the bad guy to get the Patriots out of hiding, which is Zero. No, in fact, Zero is pretty much a vegetable at this stage, and his health was going down rapidly bad, thanks to Skullface parasites. So in a long sense, Skullface was pretty much the main villain in Ox, XOF, or pretty much Fox spelled backwards. And so, and I'm talking about the story too now, because this is a really key part which made the game more interesting, more memorable to me, because it was more than just a one-man story. It was pretty much everyone's story, how they all became who they was. And Ocelot was an awesome character. He was a cool very, very cool mentor for the gamers themselves. Like, okay, this is what happens here. Okay, that's how you take out this generator over there. And it gets so much thing. There's so much detail what he tells you that you remember it instantaneously, because you have to remember key parts of the element to stop a character or pretty much become invisible around the enemy. And they don't even know you're actually there. So I really appreciate that a lot. And Miller's speeches was always epic, was always sincere, it was believable. And Venom Snake, he became more interesting at the end of chapter 2. It's only 2 chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2, which is weird because I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to the faults of it very, very similar. Let me just talk about this very quick about Venom Snake. Venom Snake is more flexible. He's more pretty much he's a more dangerous threat than say Venom Snake. I mean, than Big Boss and Solid Snake. However, he's not better than Solid Snake or Big Boss in the long term, but it's still a welcome change, and I want to see more of Venom Snake. What's his adventures, what he lived up to, and pretty much his death. He has died in Metal Gear, not Metal Gear Solid, but Metal Gear when Solid Snake killed him. It happened. But anyways, again, there's more type of bullshit what makes no damn sense. So talk about all that good shit. Let's talk about the bad shit. Okay, it's the story. That's pretty much Achilles' tendon to this damn game. It's the story. The story, it starts off really well, but then close to the end of chapter 1 and going into chapter 2, you will be so lost. Like, what the fuck is going on? Because you'll be so like, what's going on? What? What? Why are you still here? And there's so much more that, as a gamer and the people who actually like Metal Gear Solid, they'll tell you the truth that this shit makes no sense. It really doesn't, because you can't really follow what the fuck they are talking about. They don't slow it down for a moment, like to let you digest it all. They don't. And let's lead on to more repetitive, not repetitive, but just it is repetitive at times. The game can be repetitive, but it only comes down to chapter 2 at the end, where you're pretty much repeating the same missions, but on harder difficulties and also stricter rules. Like, if you get spotted by the enemy, it's game over. You get to start all over again. Or the enemies are more powerful than you now. And the list goes on. And that's a welcome change too, but that's kind of boring though. You don't keep doing the same missions over and over again, seeing the same cutscenes again and again. It will make you go insane, really. Like, and what else? The bad guys too. There was not a lot of boss fights, which is weird. Like, what? That's all the crazy, awesome boss fights, like in Metal Gear Solid and Snake Eater, which had the best boss fights of all time. These boss fights were they were great, but they were so stretched out that you could care less about them. And one of the best boss fights was against Solanthropus. Oh my! I know I said the name wrong. Metal Gear, the robot, really. And that's pretty much about it. And you can tell the game and the Man on Fire as well. But the Man on Fire, the second battle was pretty much very disappointing. It's like, damn, that was disappointing. And then certain elements that you know the game was cut at, like the last fight scene with the Man on Fire. To me, I think that was cut. To me, in my own knowledge. And there's certain types of elements that pretty much felt rushed. Like, okay. And when you get to the quiet scene, or the last quiet mission and the last mission for the game itself, they're not coherent. They're actually different, because the quiet mission is a side mission, and the main mission, the man who sold the world, is a main mission, but you don't really do much of anything. You're just repeating the same opening scenes again, but they're telling you what really happened. So it's like, what the fuck? What was his whole point? You know? It's because people bitch more about Guns of the Patriot, but I love Guns of the Patriot because it was a great ending, it was a great chapter close on Solid Snake's story, because the ending and the fight scene with Liquid Ocelot was amazing. It was awesome fight scenes too, and awesome boss fights too, with laughing octopus and crying mantis and so on and so forth. It's just in Cyberwolf as well. It's so much great shit. I can't really explain it that though. And so the boss battles were just so small in between. I mean, you can see the skulls with the bad guys as well, but they were cheap assholes. I mean, very, very cheap, because you can't really tell if you're doing damage on them, or you just pretty much you're just wasting ammo on them, because they're so hard to take down that it gets annoying and pretty much frustrating to deal with them as time goes on. And you just say, fuck this shit. Let Quiet take care of them, because Quiet, and she's OP, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because you be in a pinch at times, and she just coming with the sniper rifle, and just like, and that's cool. But whenever you pretty much you need her to kill these motherfuckers, like now, she doesn't really do it, and she hums. No, really, she hums the same tune over and over and over and over. I overlooked that because she's an amazing character, and that last mission with her was one of my favorite endings within the game. And so there's not really much I can say. I mean, touch on the social issues. It made you do some really sad moments in the game, which I'm gonna talk about really soon. But that's like the good parts. But I'm still talking about the bad parts here. And since since I'm going back to the whole being cut part, there's a lot of moments that it was cut. And since I heard rumors in the grapevine that there was a chapter 3 made, and however that was cut due to Konami and Kojima's fight. Konami trying to want to screw over Kojima. He's like, oh, we're gonna put some DLC now. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Fuck you. And so that is where it all came to be in its own sensible way. Is that it should have been chapter 5. I mean, that's chapter 3, because leaving there at chapter 2 leaves a lot of things unanswered. A lot of things unanswered, which is weird in the most strangest way ever. Like, how did Code Talk? How does Code Talker know Quiet so well? How did Quiet get the parasite inside of her? And so on and so forth. This gets more confusing as time goes on. Like, oh, okay. And this is what I'm really talking about, because Metal Gear Solid 4 explained everything. Snake Eater explained pretty much all of what's going on in the Cold War. And Metal Gear Solid explained what the hell's gonna happen in the future. So it was all great. This was like, what? What? That makes no sense. And so the whole case in that. And bonus here, there's gonna be some bonus good parts here, not no bad parts. I'm done with bad parts. The bonus parts is that you will see, I hate to say this, but I won't say it anyways. Kojima is in the game, but I can't tell you where you're gonna meet him. It's really cool when you see Kojima, like, what? Let's go, what? That's my homie Kojima. What? And what else? And there's one awesome mission that's really much it's the saddest mission of all. Is where the plague, the virus or the parasite affects the people that you know and care, the people you know and care about, and you have to do what it has to be done to save the world. And it was a very hard mission. And it was that's where the acting, this is where the elements and pretty much the setting of the game itself was so perfectly well. It's dark, and the tone of it is very soothing and it's very somber at times, which is weird. But at the same time, it gives you a big punch in the gut, because they're talking about real social issues here, real world issues. The big issue of them all was like nukes, dark science, and child soldiers. And overall, it's an amazing game with great story elements, with a lot of setbacks to it. So this is where the rating comes. This is where the rating for this game comes very, very hard, because I love the game, but the game was cut. This game was cut in certain parts of it, and you feel there's gonna be DLC down the line. And plus, the boss fights were very few in between. The skull fight was pretty much like, it was annoying, not fun. And what else? It kind of drags and pretty much repeats and becomes repetitive at times close to the end of chapter 2. But in all honesty, you can overlook that very fast, because the gameplay is polished, it's fun. You can pretty much do anything you want to, and then some. And so it's hard between a ready to go badass son and a must watch. So I don't know how to put it. I feel like this. Did I have fun playing the game? Yes, I had a lot of fun playing the game. Does it have some issues? Yes. Does it deserve a full price tag? In my good judgment here, I would say yes, because you're getting so much more and then some. And also, I heard about the free-to-play option. It's not I haven't gone to that yet. I haven't really spent money on it besides buying a full game. But the free-to-play option, like the pay and also get some other bullshit, there's no point for it. The game gives you a lot of resources without paying shit. So I saw no complaint in pretty much Konami putting like free-to-play type items in this paid game. So I was like, no, I saw nothing for it. And the Metal Gear Solid app for Android and iOS does not work for PC. Weird, right? Doesn't work for Steam and or GOG, really, if they have it up there. So, yeah. But that's been, let me tell you my review, my review for it. So the game itself, since I had so much fun with it, I was pretty much addicted to all the side quest missions. I love all the supporting characters. I love playing as Venom Snake and my character as well because it said my name on it. Because I made a character. Cool elements. You can play the female character. You can play the black character on these stealth missions, and so much more. So, and also a lot of detail too. And the AI is very, very smart. I mean, the only thing holding back is the story and some cutbacks. But overall, I can't really deny, but it's a must-watch rating because I had so much fun. I had so much fun pretty much recording it. I had so much fun doing stupid shit. I had so much fun doing everything that I wanted to do in this game. So overall, it's a full price in my book. It's pretty much a must-watch game. And that's what I have to say. It's a must-watch game. But you have to buy it, though. Anyways, that's it, folks. That's pretty much my rating. It's an amazing game. And yes, folks, I will pretty much play and review Fallout 4 whenever I get the time to pretty much, you know, because I got work and I got to do everything else in my life, so I got to juggle that out. But I already know Fallout 4 is going to consume my life, unfortunately. Anyways, that's been my show. I'm getting the hell out of here and enjoying my night. And you're going to see more crazy videos of Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain. And yes, most of my videos will be spoilers. So don't watch them if you don't want to be spoiled. Too late, right? So that's been me, and I'm getting the hell out of here because my mouse is on the floor. And as always, folks, do keep it locked and loaded and very warm from me because yes, sorry. I'll be back.